Ready? Plaquemine Parish Council, July the 13th, 2023. Meeting is now called to order at 5:42 p.m. We have roll call. Let the record reflect that all 9 council members are present. We'll move to item 2, please.
Item 2, executive session. Executive session pursuant to LRS 4217A2 for the purpose of receiving attorney-client privileged information regarding prospective litigation to pursue legal claims and causes of action against the manufacturers and suppliers of firefighting foam products. Attorneys Jacques Tuzet, Brandon Taylor, and Jody Fortunato. Councilmember LaFrance.
I so offered. Seconded by Mr. Konovich. Machines are open. And the measure passes 9-0. We will go into executive session at 5:43 p.m. Final or binding decision was made in executive session. We'll move to item 9D. 9D, as in 9 dog.
A resolution authorizing the parish president to enter into a legal services agreement with Barron and Bud, PC, and Costage, Summich, Parasola, and Taylor, LLC, to pursue legal claims and causes of action against the manufacturers and suppliers of firefighting foam products to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
I so offered. Seconded by Ms. McCarty. Any comments from the audience?
Yeah, you tell the public we'll get some tail.
Mr. Taylor, you want to just give a brief,
Yeah.
very brief synopsis?
What is the vote?
Okay,
What is the vote?
so this,
Get your money, Mr.
yes, this is essentially about pursuing claims for, against the manufacturers of certain products, including fire foam, Teflon, Scotchgard, which contain man-made chemicals that get into the water supply. And so we represent our firm, a couple of hundred entities across the country, including 5 states, and we're offering our services to help the parish out in this regard.
No problem, sir. That's all I wanted to hear.
Any more comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. And your measure passes unanimously, 9-0. We'll move to item 11D.
District 7 update. Councilmember LaFrance. LSU Ag Center update by Dominique Siebert.
I have a presentation.
Yes, could you please state your name and address, please?
There's a presentation on the laptop. Did I get it? Okay.
My name is Dominique Siebert. I'm with the LSU Ag Center and Louisiana Sea Grant. So I am you guys' Marine Extension Agent. I'm over St. Bernard and Plaquemines parishes, and my main job objectives are anything to do with commercial fisheries, coastal restoration, and youth education as it relates to marine sciences. So I know some of you guys on the council, some of you guys are new faces for me, but I just wanted to formally introduce myself and go over some of the programming that I do throughout the year here in Plaquemines Parish. I'm also currently a LSU master's candidate for agricultural extension education. I've been with Louisiana Sea Grant and Plaquemines Parish for 6 years, and I have 11 years in marine biology experience. I'm also a Braithwaitan. I grew up in Braithway, so Plaquemines Parish resident. So I'm going to start off with our aquatic education clinics. It's our fancy way of saying fishing clinics, but we take over 150 students from all over Plaquemines Parish. We teach them how to tie lines, how to rig poles, how to catch the fish, and then I go over some basic fish anatomy with them. I teach them the difference between male and female fish, the difference between male and female blue crabs, and I have to throw in a little science in there, but they do enjoy catching the fish, and they catch a ton of different species throughout the day. So it's a big, exciting day for them. And our goal every year is to raise money so we can send the kids home with their own fishing pole. In March, we held our Louisiana Fisheries Forward Summit. This is a event that we hold every 2 years. It's for all of the commercial fishing industry here in Louisiana. So we hold it in Kenner. It's the highest attended commercial fishing industry event in the entire United States. So that's a big accomplishment for Louisiana that our commercial fishermen have such a big event that they can attend. We had over 350 attendees this year. It's only one day and it's not even a full day. So we have a big turnout. We have 50 vendors and exhibits. They come from all over the United States. We even had Alaska Safety there this year. The Coast Guard comes out with their helicopters and does safety demonstrations. We have the community colleges come out and show any programming that they might be able to use on the boats. We have regulation updates and any type of talks that may be of value to our commercial fishermen. We just finished up our Marsh Dogs program. This was held in the last week of May. This is for Plaquemines Parish and St. Bernard Parish high school youth. The camp is completely free. It's a week long where the kids are completely immersed in science. They're in the field. They're doing real science and data collection. They're using microscopes. They are canoeing. They are fishing. They are learning about marine debris. They're doing cleanup activities. They're using GPSs. They're doing water quality. They're doing a ton of science, but they're having a ton of fun as well. They do a pre and post test, so we can sort of evaluate what they're learning. And at the end of the camp, we have an 80 to 90% increase in the skills that they have learned since when they start the camp. And like I said, it's completely free. We rely on a grant that we apply for every year. This past year, we got the grant from Energy, and we get some private donations as well. Every spring, I do courtesy TED checks here in Plaquemines Parish for our offshore shrimping fleet. I also hold a variety of workshops and training throughout the year related to the commercial fishing industry, such as HACCP training. I do a lot of safety training, any regulation changes and updates. I work with the charter captains and the for-hire fishing industries. I do training on seafood labeling, business management, and microprocessing. We also have South Shore Direct, which is a free online website available to all commercial fishermen who want to sell their catch directly to the public. I'm currently in the midst of the Plaquemines Parish Library program. This is from yesterday. We've been in the libraries all week. I bring alligators to the kids and we talk about marine science and they get a huge kick out of the baby alligators. I do let them pet them and yes, their mouth is taped, but they get a big kick about learning about ecosystems and our marsh and Lloyd and Floyd, the baby alligators. Some upcoming events I have scheduled. Next week, we have our Reef Fish Workshop. That is for anyone involved in the reef fish industry for charter captains or recreational anglers. We have the Coast Guard coming out to do some safety talks. We're going to talk about some regulation changes from wildlife and fisheries, the Return 'em Right program, and sort of demonstrate some descender gear device use since that's some upcoming changes within the industry. That'll be next week at Bell Chiefs Auditorium. And then August 1st, I've partnered with Plaquemines Parish Medical Center to offer a free health clinic for commercial fishermen and their families on August 1st. If you need any more information on either one of those events, this is my email and my personal cell phone number. You guys can feel free to call me or text me or email me anytime. Thank you.
Yes. Any comments from the audience? Mr. George?
Yes, Dominique. You mentioned you get teaching these kids the difference between a male and female fish. Can you do that while they're live?
Yes.
I'm gonna have to learn that from you.
I can teach you right now.
I'll learn. Come see me.
Mr. Newsom?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Dominique. Can you forward this presentation to the council members? Anybody want to draw emails? Can you email it to us?
Absolutely, I'll do
And look,
that.
you talked about, like Mitch said, taking people fishing. Last time I went fishing, I went with a bunch of ladies and they all fished me, so I might need some help too. So, well, can I get in with the kids?
Okay, not a problem.
Thank you.
Mr. Konovich?
Yes, the program you had at Kenner, we have a great pavilion back here that y'all could rent and have it here because the commercial fishermen come from down here.
I know. We are always looking for new spaces.
We could get you one.
So, Ms. Dominique, I recognize your last name, Siebert.
Yes.
You're from Breakaway.
Yes.
Your family come from farmers.
Yes.
So you done went from tilling the ground to jumping in the water.
Yes. I went from agriculture to marine.
My family used to sell your family a lot of the produce we used to grow. Y'all used to live in that curve?
Yep. My house is still there.
Yeah. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, guys.
We'll move to item 11A1.
A resolution urging the U.S. Secretary of Commerce and the U.S. Trade Representative to implement the existing measures to limit the overall volume of imported shrimp in America in order to ensure the survival of our domestic wild-caught shrimp harvesters and America's access to wild harvested shrimp from domestic waters, and urging the commissioners of the International Trade Commission when considering imports to include all forms of shrimp from all countries, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Jurisic.
We have a motion by Mr. Juricic for suspension, seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any comments from the audience, from the table? Oh, that's for suspension. Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. Could you read it again, please?
A resolution urging the U.S. Secretary of Commerce and the U.S. Trade Representative to implement the existing measures to limit the overall volume of imported shrimp in America in order to ensure the survival of our domestic wild-caught shrimp harvesters and America's access to wild harvested shrimp from domestic waters, and urging the commissioners of the International Trade Commission when considering imports to include all forms of shrimp from all countries, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Jurisic.
I offer and ask for unanimous second.
We have a motion by Mr. Juricic, and we have a unanimous second. Any comments from the audience?
Good afternoon, council members and Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry, I switched from port to council. I just came this evening to thank you all for your time over the last, what has it been, 6 to 8 weeks, and the correspondence between myself and each of you. Some of you asked some questions, and I hope that I was able to answer those for you. I'm excited about tonight because Plaquemines, everything we start, we need to start at home. And I just wanted to come to really just thank you tonight for putting forth the energy and effort to get this done. St. Bernard Parish is next. I've already reached out to a couple of their council members, and then it's going to be off to DC. So I just wanted to take the time to thank you all for your experience and just your time on this, because that's been really important to me. So thank you so much.
Mr. Schultz.
Kendra, I just want to thank you for taking the lead on this. A couple of years ago when we met, you gave me very eye-opening knowledge to the fishing industry, shrimp industry, everything. So thank you for leading this effort, and glad we can help you fight this battle.
Thank you for your time.
Mr. Juricic.
Yeah, same here, Kendra. You've done a phenomenal job. You know, we're wanting to get this done. You wrote some terrific letters, and this resolution will definitely be here to back up those letters. Be sure you get it to the right people, and good luck.
Thank you.
Reverend Edwards.
Yeah, we know, you know my sentiment when it comes down to you. But my question is, what are the government doing to enforce this? Because I was reading a report where a lot of fishermen of the country are saying that the government don't have nobody to enforce this stuff. So you looking at making sure that we got some enforcement in place to make this really work? 'Cause just saying it and having the enforcement, it means nothing.
Okay, so that's a great question. So maybe we may be talking about two different things. So the labeling bill with the state of Louisiana was passed a few years ago. When it was passed, there was no arm of enforcement included in that labeling bill. So recently, the House of Louisiana had a discussion about this subject, and they tabled it. They still never came with the legislation for the arm of enforcement for the labeling bill. There was also some legislation that came out of the House to memorialize Congress to ban imported shrimp and crawfish. But the issue with that is because of the rules of play within the World Trade Organization's law, which the United States falls under with our trade agreements, that is not an attainable goal. What I've written and what this resolution supports is to ask the International Trade Commission and the Department of Commerce, United States Trade Rep, to actually pursue measures that are already afforded to them. So in our country, there's only certain individuals that have power of pen to do what I'm asking them to do. That's the head of the Department of Commerce, along in unison with the United States Trade Rep. That's why that letter is written to those two. And then there's the International Trade Commission. And the power of pen that they have is to implement either tariff rates, quantity limits, quota limits, time limits for time quotas, those type of implementations, those measures they can implement. What I'm asking them to do is implement the emergency measure to restrict the overall amount. And it's unfortunate, but this is going to be a temporary fix. I'm requesting 3 to 5 years. In that 3 to 5 years, it's going to be up to the industry to collectively come together and figure this out. That's the bottom line. But this is the only legal obtainable measure out of all of the research, Reverend Edwards, that I have found it's even something that I would want to reach for because of the way the trade laws are set up. There's nothing else that is obtainable except for this one item. And it took me a long time to find this. But St. Bernard passed a ban on imported shrimp to be sold in St. Bernard. There's no arm of enforcement in it. And because Walmart and whatnot, Walmart's one of your largest distributors of imported shrimp in this country. They have a Walmart in St. Bernard. I can tell you the legal ramifications of that type of legislation are going to be far-reaching and very, very costly because that's an actual ordinance. This resolution, to some, may seem symbolic, right? But at the federal level, what this is going to show is that we as a parish, as an industry, move as one. That's why my ultimate goal is to reach out to the other parishes so we can pull the whole coast of Louisiana to show that we move as one. The evidence is available to show that there's been a major economic impact to the Louisiana shrimp industry, to the Gulf shrimp industry for that matter, because of the overreach, or overpouring rather, of foreign imported shrimp. So we have the evidentiary material to support what we're asking for. So what I'm asking for doesn't have to have an arm of enforcement added to it because it's already an existing measure that there's really no law that's being broken for an arm of enforcement, if that makes sense. This is asking them to do their job, basically. And it's moving as one. And that's why I came to y'all for the resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we do. So, is that it?
I would like to thank you for coming today and supporting our commercial fishermen. And I know you hold many different titles because just the other day you were a mechanic dealing with turbos and exchangers and generators.
Not fixed. Yeah. I've been in a hole of a boat for the last 2 weeks. You're right. Yes,
So
sir.
today you're acting as a lobbyist.
Pretty much, yes, sir. But I got the grease out from underneath my little stubby nails, so that's a
Actually,
bonus.
let me see your fingernails.
They all had to pretty much be cut off and dug out, but yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'm going back on the boat hopefully tomorrow. So
Any more comments from the table? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0.
Thank you all so much. You guys stay blessed.
We'll move to item 4, status report by the parish president. Mr. President.
Yes, sir. Not a whole lot of fanfare or excitement there. Probably been.
Your fingernail.
Yeah, oh no, I'm gonna tell you, I'm soft. These hands are like a little baby's butt right here, man. But not a whole lot of fanfare. We're talking water every day of our lives right now. Earlier in the week, had the opportunity to be able to get on WWL TV to express and give our story to the regional here, with the water that's in the saltwater intrusion that's down in that's happening to us in the southern end of the parish, and it is rapidly moving to the north. We had our weekly meeting with the Corps and GOSEPs. It started today, was the first of probably what's going to be many in the future. Colonel Jones and his staff came to our office here on the campus here, and we met with GOSEP, and we got the letter from the governor today. Colonel Jones needed this letter from Governor Edwards, requesting that we be in this state of emergency because of our drinking water in the Boothville plant, the West Point Lahash plant, and the potential problem that we are going to be having on the East Bank side of the river. And we have been working diligently on, resolve for these situations here. One of the situations that we're creating now, and on the West Bank side of the river, is we're creating a booster station at the Alliance Refinery. We are taking an 8-inch booster that's going to be tied into the 20-inch water lines that's going to boost what is about 1 million gallons of water into the Port Sulphur plant. That's just a reservoir right there, and then from there we'll be able to boost that water down to the Boothville plant. At the same time, we're also Barnes Electric is also in the process of doing temporary electrical repairs to the West Point Lahash water facility, so that we can, in the next, I believe, 4 to 6 weeks now, we can get that plant up and running to start producing water as well. The challenge now is, when the meeting ended today at our office, Colonel Jones, his staff, Patrick Harvey, and myself, we went down, and Weeks Marine, they're putting the sill on the river. It's mile 63.8, which is Naomi right there at the Laura's seat at the, where they've got the siphon right there. So we're able to see that process and how that's being done. Early on, we also asked if we could have possibly have put this sill, if this sill could have been put south of the ferry landing, so that would wouldn't have kind of allowed that water, that saltwater intrusion, to kind of make its way up the river. And we were told, not immediately no, but we'll look into it. But then pretty soon the answer was no. And just my thought process on things today, and seeing why we were where we were today, and why they're putting the sill at this point in the river, it's because it's pretty much where the river. I'm going to show you. This is going up and down the river this way right here. The West Bank has a shallow bank, and it goes deep, and then it comes up on the other side. So there's a one-lane shipping channel that they're working on right now. They're allowing one-way shipping to go. So the river's not that deep here, but it's got a very short area of depth, of deepness in the river. So that's where they build that sill. So it's not taking as much material to do that right there. I believe they started Friday or Saturday. It's probably going to be an 11-day project. So sometime next week the sill is going to be completed. But we're still, that still doesn't put East Bank out of harm's way. So this is what we did today with the colonel and with the governor's request. And these are things that we have been talking to GOSEP here in the last 2 weeks. And it just takes time, and it finally came to fruition today. So we're working on an RO for the East Bank facility. We're also working on an RO, have been working on it for the Boothville Venice facility as well. This booster station, as long as Mr. Morgan with Infomark has all the confidence in the world that this is going to work, and I truly believe it's going to work too. So when that's finished up, and that's probably going to be in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks at the most, we'll be able to boost this water all the way down to Boothville, and we may be, at that point, we'll be out of this bad water situation. We've delivered probably 300,000 bottles of water to the Buras and to the Boothville Venice firehouses, and somewhere around 16,000 pounds of ice, and we'll continue to do so. Water, we're going to have specific days of water delivery in those areas. It's going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we won't stop until we're asked to stop. We shouldn't have to get another phone call being told that we're not delivering water. We have been delivering water, but we're going to be on a more design time frame. So know, and you can tell your constituents in those areas that it is going to be on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday deliveries. I have right here, reverse osmosis is a pretty serious, it's not an easy task to do. Here's the process of how the water is processed and how the water is processed through reverse osmosis. I have this. I can forward this. I just got this here. I've been asking for this. I asked for this yesterday, and I got it this afternoon. So I'll forward this to everyone here, because normally there's 4 steps on processing our water. When we get into a situation where we are right now, it goes from 4 steps to 8 steps. You go through a semi-process of pulling the water. We're not dealing with water, salt water that's, say, in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico or in the Caribbean, where that water is clean. We're not only dealing with dirty water, now we're dealing with dirty salt water, chemical-infested water. And so the process is, you get to a point where the water's clean, and then all of a sudden now we've got to run it through another process to put the minerals back into the water. Because if we don't put the minerals back into the water, it'll have just as much destruction as salt water that's running through our system right now. So it's a serious process. It's a lesson learned from last year, with the staff that I'm working with. The ROs were delivered. And all of a sudden, last year, they found it comes with serious electrical panels. A lot of that's already in place. Last year, there's a lot of filtering systems. This is just not a machine that's, you drive it up, you plug it up, and you start pulling water and you run it through right here. So it takes time. It takes time to procure these types of equipment, and it takes time to even get this equipment up and running. But that process is started. Hopefully in the Boothville, Venice area, we won't have to go that far, because as soon as we're able to boost this water down there, we'll be taken care of. And now, once we get out of this situation right here, there's a permanent booster station that the port has worked with and is funded through grants, I believe it is, and that's going to be a 20-inch booster station into the 20-inch line. So I'm thinking after this year, we should never be able to, we shouldn't be in this situation again. There's a lot of ideas. I don't want to go through them right now, but as far as our water system, I'm going to be getting together with Charles, with the port director. We don't want to get our water system to pre-Ida. We can't afford to get our water system back up to pre-Ida. We've got to think 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We've got to look at what industry that we're going to have in this parish. So we need to start thinking and focusing on the future right there. So we're all going to be getting together in the future with that right there. We've got some serious decisions to make, but I think they're going to be good business decisions that we're going to be able to do together, and we'll be moving things forward. On the East Bank side of the river, this is going to help for flood fighting, but right there at Carnarvon, where we always have to put the sandbags, they're going to come in and they're going to elevate the road. They're only going to bring it up to about 48 inches, but that helps right there. Every little bit helps. So now we don't have to sandbag the whole 8 feet or however high we've had to do in the past right there. And finally, trying to get it on a touchy, feel good, a happy kind of a situation. We had July the 5th in the 5th. Miss McCarty did a real good job. Had the Marine Corps band out July the 5th, had fireworks. I truly believe it was a great turnout. I think it's something that she can build on in the future right there, and I hope that we can continue that process right there.
A lot more music next time.
Yeah, a lot less talking.
Thank you, Mr. President,
All right.
for that report. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Reverend Edwards.
Mr. President, is anything being done, and I don't know if it's appropriate to talk about monitoring ships coming in and they dumping, because I'm wondering about ships dumping stuff into the river, entering and leaving, especially when you're saying you're going through this osmosis process.
I don't want to spit the hook here, but that's a port-related question there. Yeah, you've got port security. That would, to me, that would be someone as they monitor up and down the river,
Mr.
right?
Conover, you would like to answer that? Hold on. Could you key in, Mr. Conover? Okay. It don't want to go up. Okay, go ahead.
All regulations the Coast Guard does when they coming in the river, go check them sometimes, but that's where the apple snails come from and the zebra mussels and all. I don't know if you ever seen in ditches, you see a bunch of little pink little balls. Well, that's a apple snail, and if you see them, you need to start smashing them because they're not good for the
Invasive.
I saw him in Jesuit Bend. I saw him in Jesuit Bend drainage.
Yep.
Yes. You finished, Rev?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Champagne.
Yeah, Mr. President, one of the things I wanted to add to, and you and I have talked about it, and I've talked to Charles, is with the water system, you guys, you didn't mention the fact that you are working on resiliency and redundancy. We're going to make sure that we don't have single points of failure throughout the systems on both sides of the river. And I know it's going to take a real effort, but I can assure you the port's behind you, and I know the council members up are behind you. And again, I appreciate your efforts on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Update by Charter Directors.
Any comments from the audience? Any questions from the table? You can give an update.
On the operations end of things, was steady chipping away at it. We talk pretty regularly. Nothing new has popped up lately. Anything that's ongoing, we've either talked about it or went out there and rode and looked at it. So if anything pops up, just call us and we'll take care of it like normal.
From Public Service, I sent you all an email a couple of days ago about the various water main breaks in the system. We need some rain. The ground is drying up, and these old concrete pipes, once the ground dries up and the ground and the mud shifts ever so slightly, these old concrete pipes are cracking. We've had 6 or 8 just in the past 2 weeks. We had one this morning on Majestic Oak and Bell Chase. Thank goodness it wasn't very serious, but they're popping up quite frequently, and just pray for rain because it stresses already stressed system.
Mr. Jurich?
Yes. Billy, we talked the other day about the outfall ditches. You making any progress on getting those ditches? I know you talked about starting in Venice and working your way up because they're pretty choked up right now.
Yeah, that's the plan. And like what hurts us is when a machine goes down. It's already a lot of ditches and a little manpower. So again, we're slowly but surely chipping away at it. The ones that get done get 100% done. We don't want to start one and hop around. So when one gets done, it's 100% done. That's a positive. Your constituents will start noticing it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you all directors for the updates. Thank you for the updates on them pump stations. We'll move to the next item, please.
5, bids and advertisements, there are none. 6, beer and liquor licenses.
Kieran, if you have any. Mr. Konovich.
F. the Watusi Ale, 33115 Highway 11, Empire.
Watu, that's my mother-in-law. The Watusi. Dr. Gooey.
I have the OLPH Fair and the OLPH Fair Parade Special Event applications.
We have a motion by Dr. Gooey to accept, seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration. Machines are open. And the Reverend Evans? A verbal yes? Yes, the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. Next item, please.
7, building permits, there are none. 7A, construction permits, there are none. 8, introduction of ordinances and resolutions.
We do have some. We're not getting away with none. A resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between the Plaquemines Parish Government and the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, authorizing the parish president to negotiate and execute an agreement for the sharing of resources and the cost share related thereto, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend and as amended readopt ordinance number 14-135 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, levee repair, Ironton, Myrtle Grove, non-federal levee project, and the 2023 general fund operating expenditure budget, coastal resource and protection department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to levy on the 2023 tax roll all property subject to taxation by the Plaquemines Parish Government and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend and as amended readopt ordinance number 23-50 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2023 general fund operating expenditure budget, legal services, general department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution approving the request for a conditional use to Bolsu PCF LLC for a concrete batch plant in a floodplain zoning district located on a certain tract of land designated as 21178 Highway 23, Point Celeste, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, Section 10, Township 17 South, Range 25 East, all in accordance with application number 2023-529 dated May 21st, 2023, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Those were all for Councilmember LaFrance. The following is for Councilmember Konovich. An ordinance authorizing the parish president to credit all Plaquemines Parish water customers from the Empire Bridge South in the amount of $50.25 for residential customers and $257.59 for commercial customers. Authorizing the president upon adoption of this ordinance to immediately suspend the water payments for those customers until the high chloride levels present in the parish water supply from the saltwater wedge intrusion are no longer affecting the parish water supply and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The next one is for Councilmember Jurisic. An ordinance establishing a temporary moratorium on new trailer, RV, and camper parks for the area from the parish line to La Recite/Naomi for a period of 6 months and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. in the next two, or for Councilmember Schultz. An ordinance to amend the 2023 manpower structure and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvement plan, District 3 recreational park project, and amend the 2023 revenue budget and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And that is all the intros.
Thank you. We'll move to the next item, please.
9, ordinances and resolutions on second reading and final passage. 9A, ordinances and public hearings pursuant to Article 6, Section 601E of the Plaquemines Parish Charter. 9A1, 9A2, an ordinance authorizing the rescission of a portion of drainage servitude initially created in favor of USA, now in the name of the Belle Chase Drainage District located in square north of the Hudge Hunt Heroes subdivision, Belle Chase, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember McCarty.
We have a motion by Ms. McCarthy. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Champagne. Is there any comments from the audience? Ms. LaHaye, would you like to come up? And Mr. Paul Landry? Please state your name and address, please.
John Canoy, 114 Vote Drive. And just to clarify that I'm commenting on the correct material, can I comment now in reference to the ordinances that you just read that are being proposed, or is this in reference to 9?
For this one here.
Okay, all right.
9.
All right.
A2.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll find out about that later. Thank you.
How y'all doing? My name's Paul Landry, Mandeville, Louisiana. I'd like to thank McCarty and Rennie for his assistance on this. We have a piece of property that we have owned for quite some time. It's the property that Domino's Pizza is on. And we have the property that's also behind that. And what we would like to do is have the council approve the removal of the servitude on a section of that property. There is 4 tracts of land that we would like to remove that servitude on. The survey does call for a section of the property that is along the canal that would stay in place, that would allow for access and maintenance of the canal.
Show the graphic. Christian graphic. So it's for us, it's this.
Let's see. Kim,
There we go.
make them all live. Okay?
So what you're looking at there is the northern section of that survey is the property that is along Belle Chase Highway, and at the present time has the Domino's property on it. This is a relatively small piece of property, and what we're asking for is the area, we purchased the area that's in gray quite a few years back, and it has a servitude on it. We would like to have that servitude removed from that section so that our intentions are to combine all of that property and to make it into a larger section of property with a Belle Chase Highway frontage. If you notice, you'll see that we don't have the survey with us. This is the unofficial survey, but the survey calls for we put in it's about a 20-foot by 100-foot survey section, servitude area that would stay in place. That's between the canal and the property that we would ask that the servitude be removed from, so that y'all have access to the canal to do whatever repairs and maintain the property, the canal as needed. And we think that this would increase the value of the visibility of the property to when people are coming into Belle Chase. The intention is to develop the property. It will be made into one whole piece of property.
Any comments from the audience? From the table? Mr. Schultz.
Yes, Ms. McCarty, I know, I support this because we've talked about this before, but did we not vote on this a couple months ago? I thought we did.
We ended up removing the servitude for John Espinal in your section.
Oh, okay, so it was okay, that's why I was like, I thought, okay, I remember we had these conversations multiple times, and I thought we voted on it. So, like I said, I support it. It's just I want to make sure what we're doing. Okay, I yield.
Ms. LaHaye?
Hi, Nancy LaHaye, Bell Chase, Planters Canal Road. The only question I have, whoever gave the servitude of the land, can the council now take it away and change that servitude and allow someone, in other words, for instance, say if the servitude was donated or given, say by the Hero family who developed that subdivision all along Barrier Road. And,
Or the land?
pardon me?
Are you saying if the servitude was given or the land was given?
The servitude. In other words, normally, if someone owns land and you need a servitude, the landowner has to give that servitude, but normally they own the land underneath. Well, if it's a surface servitude,
Well, from my understanding, I have servitudes around my house, all the way around.
right. Mhm.
So if it's not upkept, the law states, I believe, that the servitude goes away on your land. But we've been keeping up the servitude on this land. We cut the grass there.
Yes. Mhm.
So it's up to the parish to give up the servitude, not the landowner.
Okay, I just think that, in other words, I guess what I'm asking, has Heroes been notified, or if in fact that was there, that they gave the servitude? Because I know they developed that entire subdivision.
Randy can correct me, but when you sell a piece of land, you sell all that is connected to that land. And so therefore, there was a servitude on that land that was predated 1950-something to try and drain the intercoastal canal to the adjacent canal. That's no longer a need for us.
Okay, I'm just questioning if you can, if my understanding was that couldn't be done, but I may be wrong. I dealt with servitudes with Heroes lands. I worked for them for 40 years, but and they have a lot of servitudes,
Yes.
and people use the servitudes on their land. But my understanding on most of the servitudes they gave, they didn't give the land all the way down. It was more surface servitude. That's really was my question. I'm just asking that, something you might want to check.
I would defer to Rennie, though. I think it's done.
Mr. Konovich?
Does Hero own the land underneath?
Mr. Landry bought the land from the Heroes. It's my understanding he bought the underlying interest of all the land. And the servitude is what we call a predial servitude, which means it runs with the land. So when he bought these tracts from Mr. Hero, they were encumbered by the servitude. And so there's nothing wrong with that. Now the parish is rescinding the servitude. Mr. Hero doesn't get to come back and rebuy the rights, or our rescission of this servitude doesn't cancel Mr. Hero's sale to the Landrys. So I'm not really, I guess I'm not really sure where what Ms. LaHaye is saying, but it's a predial servitude. It runs with the property. Mr. Landry bought the property from the Heroes, and now the parish is subsequently rescinding the servitude. And so the land, as far as I can tell, is still owned by Mr. Landry, and he will be the person who benefits from the rescission.
In here,
There may be additional property. Well, what you may be asking is, what about north? Well, I don't know if it's north, but all along Barrier Canal. So if Mr. Hero owns property, I'm calling it north. Yeah, I guess it's north. No, it's south. Towards the canal, towards the base entrance. That's a different issue. So yes, I think there's a servitude that runs all the way up there, that if Mr. Hero still owns that property and the council chooses to rescind the servitude there, they can do so, and obviously Mr. Hero would receive the same benefit Mr. Landry is receiving. But that's a decision that the council has to make, on an individual basis.
Mr. Newsom?
And we are retaining 20 feet along that bank to ensure access.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Landry, is all of this, I know that the Domino's facilities in the front, this 1, 2, 3, 4, has all of that been grouped together as one, this is all one piece of
That's what
property?
the intention is, that there is no intention of having two separate commercial properties. The intention is we will combine this property once the servitude is lifted, and we will combine it and then develop it as one piece of property.
Okay, so you don't, it's not all one, it's in all in these tracks right now?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right now, but.
And it's all of the 1, 2, 3, 4, all zone commercial?
No, not right now. Right now, they're zone farmland, and we are in the process of, we've already submitted the documents to have it converted from farmland to commercial. We've already submitted the application.
Thank you.
It doesn't affect construction of the bridge.
No, it's, and look, what we'd like to do is, we've owned the property for over 60 years, the front property. And the intention is that we would like to work with the parish. We know that there's future plans for the development of Barrier Road with the back gate. We grew up there, we know. So the plan is that we want to work with the parish that whatever is redeveloped there, that will be one business, that it's designed where if property needs to be taken by the state, the parish, whoever, along Barrier Road for a widening of Barrier Road, which we've had some discussions about this, and I don't know if that's going to be necessary because our property is so close to Belle Chase Highway. But as far as the Barrier Road, we want to work with the parish. And one thing we can do is that whatever is built, first thing we're going to do is get with the parish and say, look, where do we need to put this? Let's talk. We've had no one approach us from the bridge or the airbase. I mean, one property. We've never been approached by anybody to, hey, let's talk. But I can see why we haven't been approached by the bridge, because the bridge, it didn't need to be done, which we're thrilled about. So, but my point is that this will allow us to develop the property, and if property does need to be taken, we can still make that viable to use. But if this isn't done and we're stuck in that little spot, y'all would end up having to buy us out. And that's not going to be productive for anybody. We lose, y'all have to spend money buying us out. But if we are able to develop the property where some of that is taken, and then we're still able to use some of it, y'all don't have to buy us out. Y'all continue to create revenue on property that you're not getting anything from right now. Plus, it increases the value of everything. We can build a new building. It's going to look better. So that's where we're at.
Any more comments from the table? Machine's open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. Does that mean we get free pizza tonight? Next item, please.
9B will be deferred. 9C, an ordinance to approve the amended Rule 9 hours of work, leaves of absences, and absent without leave, Section 7, holidays of the Plaquemines Parish Civil Service Commission rules adopted by ordinance number 96-133, amended by ordinance number 9747, and amended by ordinance number 9935, and amended by ordinance number 42, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
So offered. Second. Seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. Next item, please.
E, an ordinance to levy millages on the 2023 tax. F, an ordinance to amend the 2023 General Fund Operating Expenditure Budget Information Technology Department and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
So offered.
Second.
Who seconded? Mr. Konovich. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. Yeah, E is deferred. E is, they told me deferred.
That was C.
And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. Next item, please.
G, a resolution authorizing the parish president to accept the donation of a generator and air conditioner unit to Plaquemines Parish government for public use and benefit and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
I so offered.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Reverend Edwards.
What is this about and how many we talking about?
I was fixing to ask you guys, give us a directive as to where you might want to see where this generator goes and the air conditioner
A
goes.
generator,
How about
generator.
council office?
Yeah, I'll say.
We'll have to see what size generator and what size air conditioner we're talking about right here. This could very well just be a little small portable.
Estimated at $5,000. It ain't too big of a.
Yeah.
deal.
Pretty big now.
I can answer that.
Yeah.
It's the Plaquemines Medical Center is currently renovating the building behind the post office in Belchase. And instead of trashing the condenser unit and the generator that was on site, they offered to donate it to the parish. It's a Train 3-ton condenser unit and a Ford 45 kW generator. It's in line to be serviced to make sure it's in working order. We're looking to put it on a trailer to make it portable, just to add to Homeland Security's emergency use generators.
Thank you. Mr. Newsom?
Oh, no, thank you, I'm fine.
Okay. Machines open? And the measure passes 9-0. Next item, please.
H, an ordinance authorizing the parish president to enter into and execute a contract with lobbyist Mercury Public Affairs to represent Plaquemines Parish government in any upcoming sessions of the federal government or any other meetings and events deemed necessary to protect its interest in all matters for the remainder of the fiscal year, with an option to renew for the following fiscal year, provided funds are available in the 2024 adopted budget, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
So offered. Seconded by Dr. Gouy. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Mr. Konovich?
Yeah, he did the same thing with the port. They hire him, we never hear from him.
Yeah.
And
Let's defer this right here. I want to talk more with you guys about this right here.
This item is deferred.
Yeah.
We'll move to item I, please.
An ordinance declaring the enumerated adjudicated properties as surplus and not needed for public use and authorizing the parish president to do all things necessary to sell said properties in conformity with ordinance number 2364, the Plaquemines Parish Adjudicated Property Program, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
So offered. Seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any comments from the audience?
Clarence Brock, 156 Crossover Lane, Phoenix, Louisiana. This is property located where?
Property all over the parish. Any property that's been adjudicated from a lack of paying taxes, that's the property.
Even blighted property that they're going for sheriff auction? None of that?
If it just recently went under the sheriff's sale, this wouldn't be in there quite yet. Not yet.
Property that Plaquemines.
This is, we've owned this for quite
Of owns. All right. So it's going to go for auction, so anybody like me want to go for it?
anybody could get it.
And we're still going to go to the Gazette?
Go ahead and give them the process.
Yeah, we're going to, the council previously passed an ordinance authorizing us to do this through a program. So we will advertise this in the Gazette. We'll put this on the website. And we will likely, should we have the time, to send letters to adjacent property owners who may be interested in these properties. You basically put $1,000 down. That triggers the whole process of notices. And there'll be a bid. But we're not... You have to start a process by putting a deposit down that you're interested in the property, and that will trigger the process. So we're not just going to have a random auction. Someone has to actually express interest in the property to get the ball rolling.
All right, thank you.
And if they put up that 1,000 and something happens, they don't get it, they get their money back.
They get their money back if someone else outbids them, yes.
And if the original owner of the property, if they go back and pay the taxes,
They get yes, it's called redemption. They can redeem the property at any point up until the sale.
okay.
But they would have to pay all the outstanding taxes, interest, penalties, et cetera.
Up until the sale? I thought it was still 3 years after the sale.
We can sell it after the 3 years, but they can redeem it before, until it's sold. The tax debtor can always come in and pay the taxes to redeem it.
All right, thanks.
Any more comments from the audience? From the table? Administration, machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. Next item, please.
J, an ordinance to amend the 2023 manpower structure and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Newsom.
So offered, ask for a second.
We have a motion by Mr. Newsom, seconded by Mr. Jeritage.
Yep.
Any comments from the audience? From the table?
Yeah, what is this? I'm sorry.
Mr. Newsom?
Yes, this is, we passed some legislation a couple meetings ago about getting some manpower. This is unfunding the director, since we have since posted, civil services posted for a supervisor. This gets the recreation department in line with all the other departments, how they function. So that's what this is about. And if Mr. Wishes can comment any further if he'd like.
That's an empty position. We unfunded it. We changed the manpower from the unclassified director to a classified superintendent position.
Is this the thing that Hendra had?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there any more comments?
The announcement that civil service is doing now is in conjunction with this ordinance? Because I thought civil service was already advertising for that superintendent position.
Y'all already voted for that.
Okay. Okay.
Any more comments from the table? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. We'll move to the next item, please.
K, an ordinance to amend and as
Yes.
amended readopt section 17,
I'm gonna, Mr. Edwards had asked me to defer this. He had some people that he didn't realize this was being voted on that really wanted to come speak on this matter, and they're not able to come today. So we're gonna defer this item. Thank you.
We'll move to item M, please. Item L is deferred. Withdrawn, I'm sorry, withdrawn. We'll move to item M.
an ordinance declaring certain property belonging to Plaquemines Parish as surplus property and no longer needed for public purposes and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotnovich.
Offer.
We have a motion by Mr. Conovich, seconded by Mr. Jurich. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Reverend Edwards?
Can you tell me what's...
This was a piece of property in Boothville that they had the Council on Aging on. There's no building there, and the owner of the property next door has been taking care of it, and he came wanting to buy it.
Oh, okay.
That used to be y'all community center? Yeah.
The Council on Aging.
Any more comments from the table? Machines open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. We'll move to the next item, please.
And an ordinance to amend the 2023 Public Health Fund operating expenditure budget, ambulances, general department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotnovich.
Offer for discussion.
We have a motion by Mr. Konovich for discussion, seconded by Mr. Jurich. Any comments from the audience?
Mr. Cameron.
Okay, better move.
So before the council meeting tonight, I met with some of the council members. We're going to come and make a formal presentation in reference to the purchasing of the ambulances before the next council meeting. We still wish to buy them, but we want to give you all a better idea of how the money is being spent, what's the plan for getting the EMS agency up and running to within standards, what needs to be spent, how it needs to be spent. And just unfortunately, by this time, for this council meeting, we weren't able to present all those documents to y'all. So we just wish that, give some additional time for that.
So you say you're going to give us a presentation before the next council meeting?
That's the plan for right now.
How are you going to give us a presentation, individual or?
It's going to be, we're going to forward it all to y'all by email first. And then, I believe it's going to come through the, administration to y'all in person at that point. I believe it's going to go through.
I was going to request that you contact us and give us the same presentation.
Right, it's going to go through the public director first.
Okay.
And then it's going to come to y'all with everything that's going to be laid out.
So is this a Zoom presentation?
No, it's going to be an actual
Face-to-face?
face-to-face and documents and stuff like that we're going to present to y'all as to how we're trying to get EMS up to par as to where it needs to be. We're going to try to bring one of the trucks that we're looking at, show you where your money's going to be spent for the parish, the money that we're getting from the parish, where it's being spent, where the money from the state's being spent, so that y'all have a better idea of what direction EMS wants to go into. That way everybody knows what we're on, page-wise.
Any more comments from the table? Any comments from the audience? Administration?
Well, I was just going to make a suggestion. You know, we've been meeting here this last week, 2 weeks, just on different issues. You know, EMS is one, the water department. Maybe we can set up the meetings like we did there and just kind of hear what they've got to say, because I think we've learned a lot here in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, by doing what we've done, sitting down and talking with each other. And with one of the items, I think we've got a definitive direction that we know we want to go into. But at the end of the day, on the other issue, on the EMS, there's multiple directions that we could go into, and we just need to come together as a whole body and really know what direction that is right there, and what's best for the Plaquemines Parish here. So I guess let Jonathan go through Jeff, and then if we would make all of ourselves available for similar situations, similar meetings like we've been having, and where we can come to a definitive answer on EMS in the future. Okay.
Reverend Evans?
So you acting us to defer this and let them?
Yeah, well, he just offered for discussion.
Only. Oh, I thought he said deferred, okay.
Yeah. Dr. Gouy?
So when we met, you had given yourself a task to get some options together and get the information and present to us. So
okay,
can this just be part of it? So
this
we
can
don't
be
have to do
part of it,
another
but at the
meeting?
same time, we need to, I was going to get Rennie to come up with a resolution for you guys to give us that task, to give us a directive to go out and seek these answers. You know,
Well, you talked about three options.
Three options.
4 or 5, I don't know. But anyway, that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
an analysis of those three
Yes, right.
options. And then
Right.
talk about it.
So we weren't able to, so we won't be able to get that resolution turned in by next Friday, so that the following Thursday at the following council meeting, we'll be able to introduce that resolution. So it's kind of prolonging, it's kicking the can down the road, but these are our rules that we live by today. And rules are good.
Mr. Valley?
Mr. President, I think what you're doing is good. But how are you going to make it public? How are you going to keep the press? When you start having a meeting more than 4 people, you got to have the open meetings laws.
Mr. Ballet, we completely understand that. Never did we have a meeting with more than 3 council members, trust me.
Well, I don't think you're wrong. I mean, I can tell you, and I don't think there's suspect or anything like that. But it would be good to inform the public as you go along with some of this stuff as to what you're doing. The dialogues that you all have had recently, excellent. I mean, you know it now, you know, but they all know it. But the public needs to know.
Mr. Valley, I can a little bit speak about the public.
Say again?
About the public on the issue with this EMS. It's a daily conversation that a lot of us have with our constituents, whether it be at Bromart, coffee shop, wherever. It's a hot topic, and believe me, I'll let you look at my phone. I got numerous calls on it and stuff. So we're in discussion with our constituents and going on and expressing our interest and their interest. Hey, let us know what you feel. Let us know what happens when you call EMS. Let us know what's going on, quality of service. And we are relaying that message to our administration, to Mr. Hinckley and Director DeMarco. So those actions are all taking place. They might not be in the Gazette that they're taking place, but they are happening. I can assure you on all this because we talk regular. So that's it is happening.
Very familiar with the open meetings laws. Okay, I'm very familiar with the open meetings laws.
Yeah, well,
Okay, and Ronnie, I mean, I know I talked to everybody. We just went through the problems with the Sustainable Partners contract, which we didn't need to go through. Keep the public involved. Keep the openness to the thing. I don't suspect anybody who's doing anything wrong. I think it's a good idea that you all have communication and get up to speed on where you're going and work the problems out before you get into the meetings and stuff like that. But the public needs to know the dialogue. That's all I'm saying to you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Valen. Dr. Gouy?
Cancel.
Mr. Schultz?
So you mentioned resolution to go. What are we exactly?
Well, here's.
I just want clarification on
The
what.
resolutions that we're going to be asking for in the future, we'll be having them for you to be introduced at the next meeting, is to explore and do the assessment of the water department billing, okay? The benefits of taking that, and then the benefits or the wherewithal or whereas EMS. Where are we with EMS in the parish? Leave it under the administration, and let's just.
Okay, so we're just giving you that option to explore.
Yeah.
We're not voting to actually make it.
We're just,
when we
as an
met,
administration.
nothing was mentioned about resolutions. That's why I was like, wait.
Seeking the information.
As an administration, we're letting you know by this resolution that you're going to approve to allow us to go out and get this information.
Thank you. Next item, please.
10, approval of the minutes from the June 22nd, 2023 regular meeting.
Move.
Second.
Reverend Evans? A motion by Reverend Evans, seconded by Mr. Juritage.
Reverend Edwards moved.
It's 7-11. I'm doing that at 7-11, man.
On 11.
She's open.
Kyle.
Mr. Konovich? And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. Next item.
11B, District 8 update, Councilmember Jurisic. Discussion regarding complaints about dust on numerous items around residents' homes due to the levee work being done in Jesuit Bend, especially when there is a westerly breeze blowing.
Just some good news to report. I think these levees have been completed now and they're starting to seed them and everything. So this problem should go away as of now. So glad to hear that. And hopefully the residents can settle down and we can move on.
Thank you. Next item.
C, District 9 update, Councilmember Kotnovich, Boothville Water Plant and Saltwater.
We talked about that already.
Quarterly update by the Hospital Board.
Anyone here to give an update?
They sent a letter to us that we each have on our desk.
I told them that I could get an email, but the public can't get an email. And the public's the one that wants them to know.
Okay.
They the ones have questions.
I'm not a spokesperson for that.
I know, but
I will share that.
I've told her that. And she said her board said she didn't have to come. An email was good enough. I said, I could send emails out to
They publish
everybody,
everything
but
in the Gazette.
ours is too, but you don't get questions from people?
Yeah, well,
Ours is on YouTube. Ours is on our webpage.
Let's get together, you and I, and let's set up a meeting with, that's Ms. Press that you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Let's go talk to her and just express what you're talking about right now. Let's do that next week. Are you going to be available Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll call Ms. Press and see what's a good time, and we'll work together on that. We'll go talk to her, and then we'll see if we can't get her here at the meeting to give us like an update, maybe on a quarterly basis, or at least.
Well, that's what it is, a quarterly basis.
Okay.
It's not to give us the update.
Okay. All right, but let's go sit down and talk to her and see if we can't get her to do that.
Thank you. Reverend Edwards?
I'll wait till after that. I was just trying to find out what's actually happening because I hear Mr. Conovic saying one thing and we got this information for Patty. I'm still trying to understand what this is all about. So it seems like two different things are being said. So I'll just wait till after that meeting and maybe you can let me know what this is really all about.
Motion.
District 7 update. Mr. Wishes, could you give us an update on the fencing in Ironton for the baseball park?
It's my understanding that Venture Global, I haven't confirmed that personally, but it's my understanding from the fence contractor who was working with us that Venture Global has agreed to replace fencing at the baseball field in Ironton.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
We have a motion by Dr. Gouy, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously. We have adjournment at 7:15 p.m.